You guys watching The Boys and the Bear, or how you guys doing
I'm
with that?
halfway through The Bear, and I am 2 episodes behind on The Boys. No, 1 episode.
Same. I
Two?
haven't
Yeah.
watched the last two actually.
It might be two for The Boys. I can't remember. The last one I watched was the one with the flying goats and shit, or sheep.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just catch up at the end of the season. I don't
I
know.
think so too.
The Bear, I have like 3 more episodes, I think, and I probably would have finished that show if not for binging Game of Thrones right now. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's still pretty good. I like that one a lot. But
Yeah.
I
That
binged
was-
the Bear quick.
yeah.
That's wild. Good shit.
I started it, and then the power kind of fucked up my groove with that. So that's
throw off
about.
the groove.
Yeah,
Dude, you're off the grid.
I wish I
Man,
was
you're
off
way
the
off the
fucking
grid now.
grid.
What's up?
Way off the
I said
grid
I
now,
wish-
dude. There's no more grid.
Yeah, the Texas grid is weak as fuck.
Yeah,
We might
as
talk
it
a
is.
big game for Texas, but Jesus Christ, grid sucks.
Well, speaking of Texas,
Yeah,
yeah, we got
Speaking of
Austin,
got a
baby.
fun bit with 4.5 and 5-star movies coming up, but I feel like we should start with our new director's dive.
Yep.
And he's a man from Texas, Richard Linklater.
Yeehaw.
Yep,
American Girl.
home state. Yeah, home state advantage for Alex on this one, boy.
Yes, sir.
So
Still
starting
lives
it
there
off,
too, so
he like built
does he?
like kind of an industry in Austin. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
honestly, like
Yep.
That makes
through his
sense, yeah.
movies. So.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I'm excited for the dive, honestly. I like a lot of the ones I've seen, and I'm excited to watch the ones I haven't.
Yeah.
Honestly, they look like they'll still be decent watches at least.
he's just such an accessible director. I think just an accessible creator of movies. Like even if you don't love the movies, you could still, I guess, the ones I've seen at least, they're just like relatable and they're nothing like too artsy fartsy. It's just good
Yeah.
hangs, you know.
Not like heavy drama either to like
Right.
not bring you
He
back.
like gets
kinda.
people, you know, and he understands how to, yeah,
Yeah.
This, I mean,
bring
this
it all home.
last movie is a shining example of that. I feel like. So I was comparing it to our last director's dive, and I was like, okay, we're getting a look at like
Yeah.
people in their
Just
lives.
leave it in the past.
Okay.
Can we forget?
Let's just wipe it.
It'll
yeah.
just come back in our nightmares. Yeah, I mean, I was excited to watch this one, Slacker. I've never seen it. I don't think any of us had, right?
Nope.
It had like a cult status for me. Like I knew about it, but just never got around to it. But I'm glad to kick it off here. He does have one before called "It's Impossible to Learn to Plow by Reading Books,"
Yeah.
which
Let's
I'll
hear
probably
about
check it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out too. I was meaning to. I just didn't get around to it this
Same.
week.
So good.
Yeah, a lot of shit to watch, but yeah, I don't know. That one seems a little more like student film. I don't know if he was a student or anything, but
Yeah.
just his first film. But it's interesting to watch those, in my opinion, too. So, but this one also pretty early, pretty I don't know. I don't want to say like juvenile, but it's an early
It oozes,
attempt.
yeah, it oozes student film guy who sat down and wrote down a bunch of thoughts, and he was like, "Yeah, let's talk about these on screen because they're cool or whatever you want to call it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of vomiting, like philosophy in a way of like a young kid for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of ideas bouncing
Very
around.
liberal. If you're a conservative, it is a very liberal story.
Yeah.
Viewpoint, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
going
I
into
mean, I
like
kind of dig. I kind of dug.
it's cool. I mean,
It's like,
you definitely draw parallels to Dazed and Confused when you watch this. If you've seen
Oh, yeah,
Dazed and
like-
Confused first, which we're gonna talk about it next, but that amazing movie. This one I did not enjoy as much. I'll say that. It's got some flow and rhythms that like he perfects in Dazed and Confused, I'd say. But it's pretty. It's kind of like grinding, and it's kind of hard to get through this movie a little bit. Probably like pacing a lot of it, and then just like I'll go into more, but like I didn't really. The one-sided dialogue kind of got to me after a while. Where
It did start to grate on me as well. Like at first I was like with it and thinking, oh, this is a cool idea, or the camera's just following these individuals. But then it just started feeling kind of what's the phrase or word I'm looking for? Is it pretentious? Where it's just these people talking about these grand ideas or philosophies where I was just like, okay, you're just trying to sound like you know what you're talking about and want to be smart. Like the TV guy was just fucking weird
That
to
was
me.
crazy.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Duct tape to his back. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Then you hear one guy outside the club just say L. Ron Hubbard is dead. And it's just like that was just something he like saw. He saw like L. Ron Hubbard created his own religion, so he thought it'd be fucking cool to say instead of God's dead. I don't know. It was
Mm.
just stuff like that where I was just kind of like roll my eyes a little bit, you
Yeah,
know?
that's
Yeah,
fair.
Just
that's
yeah.
it was definitely like the feeling of being stuck in conversation with some of these people. It was like, if I could walk away, I would. Right
Yeah.
now, like,
Yeah.
And some of the characters do, I guess. The woman who's going to watch the movie with her boyfriend or whatever, eventually she's just like, I gotta go catch a movie. I gotta leave."
Yeah. Where the
But a lot
guy's
of the
talking about the JFK conspiracies for
yeah,
60 minutes, it feels.
Right.
All right.
yeah,
All right. No. Yeah.
yeah. It's cool though. Like instantly, the first scene has Richard Linklater as the actor, like in the back of the taxi or whatever, and
I thought that was it.
yeah, for sure. And he talks about Tolstoy, Frank Zappa, the Omega Man, and the Wizard of Oz, and that's just in the first scene. So it's like, dude, this guy's just clearly a fan, and he's trying to flex on like people and just kind of like show what he's got in his cooking in his brain,
Yeah.
And I feel like it sets some blueprints for the '90s and for other directors,
Definitely.
like especially Kevin Smith, who does that shit where he just like talks about Star Wars for the whole movie.
This is the movie that inspired Kevin Smith to make movies, so
For sure.
Yeah,
that's
The
I mean,
like
it-
tone, the fucking kind of just people living in the lower middle, just
Right.
going through the everyday.
just living life. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, even like Quentin Tarantino and like PTA, the dives we've already gone through. I feel like this movie just shows you how like capable you could be if you just like took it seriously and got your cameras and got the people that take it seriously. And so it's cool. It's even like earlier than I kind of anticipated for like this type of movie. It's literally like 1990, and that's like it just kicks off the 90s in this like indie feel.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely, I was getting Tarantino vibes a lot, especially his segment in Four Rooms where they're just talking in that apartment. I was getting huge vibes with that, and a little bit of Pulp Fiction. Just Pulp Fiction is just like I don't know, kind of
Very
untouchable.
long,
So it's just
long conversations that like you just follow the characters and
Right.
shit.
But those conversations felt like they kind of built on the characters rather than just like Austin was clearly the main character of this movie, and this is the life in Austin. And these are the organisms that live on it, right? So it's just a little different. It's hard to, I guess, dig into a movie like this if you're not like a part of Austin or that kind of scene, I guess.
It'll definitely come closer to home for you.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy that we watched Nashville recently too, because this feels like a Nashville attempt for Linklater. So
Better than Nashville for sure, but
definitely, I'd say so too. Yeah. But by how much though? Because I think I'm probably gonna rate it around the same, honestly. But I don't know.
what it was funny because as the movie continued to progress, my rating started dropping more. But then I thought on it as I was watching it towards the end, especially where I was just like, okay, I kind of appreciate what he's doing and kind of what he set, like we mentioned before, just the tone that he set for the '90s. Because this is like a '90s movie and it's a specific kind of genre and vibe. So it's like a good stepping stone, and I kind of appreciate it for that. But other than that, I don't see myself revisiting it just because it was just so like grating to watch towards the end. Because some of the stories I don't really care about, like
no bearing really on.
yeah.
I feel like
They don't really add up. I think that was like one of our complaints with Nashville was like you just follow the characters, and it's like life because it doesn't like all come to like a natural conclusion with all the characters or whatever involved, but it just doesn't feel like you're not watching like a story really unfold. Rather, you're just getting that slice of life, and if you want to be a part of that life, that's great. But if you don't, then it's not going to be the best experience. But
Which is a good example as to like why Pulp Fiction just does this kind of vibe better. Because it's like it is
cooler.
a day in the life of all these people, but like they connect It's
Yeah.
like it just
They
works
intertwine and
better.
mix, and you don't know if you're in the past of one story or in the future. Yeah.
Right. And then you have the
Keeps you on your toes.
overall message of like divine intervention just kind of hanging over the whole movie of like the decisions you make, So
Yeah.
it has a lot more purpose where this one is just kind of like, here's these people, you don't really know their names. In fact, I'm pretty sure like they're all just labeled what their stories are as their
Yeah, I think
characters.
so.
So yeah.
I know Linklater's the guy who should have stayed at the bus stop or should have stayed on the bus or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very indie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a detriment to the pacing just because it's like it could be jarring, like going from one story to another, not fully feeling like that one was like finished or like getting
Yeah.
everything from it. Yeah. So it's just like
there
And
were
there's no
some
like
where I
real
just felt like
transition points of like why should we transition to this story like out of that one, and there's no real reason other than like
the
then
character
they're
leaves.
or like maybe they like walk next to that character or something, like I don't know, it's just like
yeah, the one lady who's like, the next person who passes us is gonna die within a fortnight.
right.
Mhm.
Here we go.
I did chuckle at a couple points in this because it's just like, I don't know.
There's good
some of it
lines
felt-
for sure.
Yeah, some of it felt intentional, and then some of it I was like, oh, this is definitely just like '90s dogma, I guess, or whatever. Like what people were thinking in the '90s and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. I don't know,
The one that was relatable and that was just a Texas ass story was the ants. Like I feel that we have fucking ants galore.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
I always thought the person on the poster for Slacker, because it's kind of an iconic like image with like the hat, and like the weird ass face that the person's making. I always thought that was Linklater, and apparently it's just like the one chick who's like saw the crime or some shit, and
got that
she's
like Madonna
yeah.
thing. Madonna,
Yeah,
like,
she got like she bought
slide.
something from Madonna's Essence or whatever the fuck, but so I was just like, oh shit, that's just like kind of a left turn if you like knew about this movie, but I think that was one of the best characters, so it was good to have her on the poster.
She was entertaining.
Mhm.
She reminded me of Frances McDormand just in the way she looked.
Hmm.
Like, is this like a young Frances McDormand?
Yeah. I don't think there's any like well-known actors in this movie that I was like trying to find. I was like, wait, is that guy? I was like, oh no, it's not even. No, I've never seen that guy before.
Linklater. He's the only one who is like anybody in this movie.
True. Yeah.
All just college kids, people around the university.
Yeah, people he was hanging with.
Yeah.
I was like, the scenes go on pretty long, and I felt like at the beginning, especially, I was like, man, that's pretty confident for like a young filmmaker to like really just let it breathe. But then it kind of like evened out of like sometimes it doesn't feel like you got like enough coverage on the scene.
Yeah.
And he's just like walking one camera back the whole time when maybe you should like cut. But
yeah,
I feel that.
I think he learns lessons obviously after this. So
yeah, it's still impressive too. I mean, to write that much, it's
a lot.
Second film,
right?
And to be like okay, to be pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's encouraging.
It is. Yeah.
To filmmakers.
Yeah, I think I read that there's 64 total cuts in this movie, opposed to like 120 or whatever that's usually in movies. So pretty limited.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, very easy to film, or like he didn't have to do like a lot of extra shit, I guess.
Right, just a bunch of oneers and hoping that his randos could
carry
the
it.
script.
Yeah.
He did it before 1917, man. He did it. He did it back in the 90s.
Arguably better than 1917, but yeah, we'll get into that.
That's
ludicrous.
That's a different
Holy shit.
podcast.
I marked my favorite line though, and I think he even knows it's the best line or like the thesis of the movie, because he's like what was that line again that I just said? Is the obsessiveness of the utterly passive. I think that just like captures the movie in the 90s and like this idea, and it's just like perfect. So
yeah, there were a few another line that one stuck out to me, especially because when the guy read it back, he was like,
he says it wrong
without personality.
like, wait, what?
There's something there. No, that one, and then I forget what scene it was, but I remember hearing like He's like, hey man, let me, give me this. I'll loan you this camera and just, we'll shoot stuff around and see
Yeah.
what we have by the time you get it back to me. I was like, that seems pretty like on the nose of what we're experiencing.
Yeah,
A little
true.
meta.
Yeah.
I liked
That is pretty meta.
the throw at the end. Is that what you're talking? Like, I like that throw with the camera.
Sequence.
It's fun, but it feels young, I guess, but it's cool.
L. Ron Hubbard, that's my favorite line. L. Ron Hubbard is
Nice.
dead.
Hell yeah.
I just kind of like, nice.
Hell yeah.
It just sounds like something a college student would say to be like, oh yeah, I know about L. Ron Hubbard.
Mhm.
Do you know about him?
Right.
Yeah.
I know about religion.
Yeah. I know something cool.
All right. I think I'm landing on 3 stars. It's
I
good.
waffle between 3 and 3.5 on this. I landed on 3.5, but yeah, I think it's in there.
I think I also 3.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for appreciation.
Yeah. If I do rewatch it, it might land better too. But
yeah. Sheer just like appreciating what he did, the art of it all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Played
The
a
art,
heavy hand.
the boldness in the writing. Yeah, it's like all right.
Feels nice to be just in some loving hands for a director, just like somebody who's going to treat you right. And I'm excited about what's to come. I can't wait for next week, honestly, because maybe his best movie. We'll see, I guess. But it's just, we'll talk some Dazed and Confused next time.
All right.
All right. So let's get into our next segment. Got a new one, fun idea, and something I've thought about recently, which is like trying to maybe open up the higher echelons of my rankings in movies to allow like 4.5s and 5s to be like, more accessible, because I don't want it to be just like 10 films or I want a good array.
Yeah.
Achievable, but like a 5-star movie to me, there's still a barrier that you have to surpass, so it's like it's a tough question, but it's a good question to ask, and that's what we're asking today.
Yep.
And we got 3 good options. Good talks, I think.
Yeah.
Good questions to ask.
A little bit.
Before we get into the ones we picked, do you guys have a list of ones that you were going to pick? As honorable mentions, perhaps?
I had both Inception and Interstellar I was thinking about.
Okay.
Bumping up. Christopher Nolan.
I think the one that's on like the front of my mind is Gone Girl still. I think somebody else was going to pick that one. Yeah,
that's one of my top of my list.
That's like one where I'm like, that could probably just get chipped up to 5 pretty easily. But there's other ones that are tougher, and I don't know. This one, the one I picked, was the one where I was like, is it? And I'm at a comfortable place to like ask the question with, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. What it comes down to for 5 stars for me is like sheer enjoyment is what I'm seeing with at least the list I made is like ones that like are obviously well written, well crafted, but like enjoyment is like the bottom line of like, do I put this on to rewatch and go back to and recommend to people?
It has to hit you deep in the soul,
right.
And like something you want to experience and something you like truly connect with and at a certain level. And so I guess we should probably just go like movie by movie, right? And then kind of state your case for what you think about this one, and then like what's holding it back maybe. And then I guess like people can decide if they want to like give their 2 cents on it too or not. But
sounds good.
Who wants to start it off? Anybody?
I'll kick
ready to go?
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
I chose Cabin in the Woods. So when I first watched this one, a while back, obviously, I thought, okay, that was a fun, silly horror movie. And then when I rewatched it, I was like, holy shit, is this just like one of the smartest horror movies ever written? And then when I watched it again, I was like, yes, this is one of the smartest ones that I've seen, just like self-aware of what it's doing, but it's also like a damn good time. So really, like I mentioned, what it comes down to stopping me from putting it at the full 5 is like, is it just me just sheerly enjoying the fuck out of this movie, or does it actually deserve that upper echelon of like
Right.
this is because you have the horror like tent poles, obviously the movies that
Yeah.
people will say are like the best. But for me, you know, this is like a camp horror, so it's kind of like got its own corner.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
and also it pays. I mean, not like you were saying, it's kind of meta and it's kind of goofy, but it like it's making fun of the tentpole horrors
right.
too in a way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
But it's very
self-awareness is
smart.
like one of
Yeah,
its best strengths, right? Like,
right.
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
So
And then it puts its own sort of spin on it where you have the stereotypes that they have to hit with each character, you know, the virgin, the slut, the jock, the
right.
brainiac, you
Mhm.
know, but then they give those guys a purpose, you know, the blood sacrifice, and they need this to complete or the world just explodes. You
Yeah,
know, you
you
have
got to
that
do
Yeah,
it every year.
yeah.
You got to make a
insane
horror movie every year. Like,
Right,
right.
right.
So it's just I don't know. It was just that whole aspect of it just feels like, wow, this is actually incredible. So
hmm
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel you, man. I
yeah,
will say, I remember the end sequence of that too, when all the monsters are kind of like breaking out and everything's going to
Yeah.
shit. Oh man,
it's
that is like
amazing.
a horror Easter egg like dream.
Mm.
You know, you're just like, okay, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see. I think I have it at 4 stars right now. I mean, I could be willing to bump it up to 4.5, but
The
yeah, it
five
is
stuff.
tough. Yeah, it is tough because it's making me think of like, I have The Thing as like one of my favorite, very much of like the serious horror John Carpenter,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
Halloween, these guys who are like sort of like touted to be the horror masters or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like, yeah, how do you lump them in? How do you justify that? But
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, I don't
Because I
know.
mean it's not doing anything like crazy with its like directing style or anything like that. It's just
Yeah,
like
sure.
just a casual movie.
Yeah.
But
hmm
I don't know,
Oh,
for me it just does something special.
that's a good thing though too, because it's like, how let me just pop this on with some friends. You
Yeah,
pop
it's a fun
it's
ride for
fine.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
On this rewatch, I watched it, and on other ones too. The thing that really holds me back, because I have it at 4 stars too, and I'm gonna bump it up to 4.5, 100%.
Okay,
It deserves
Okay.
that for me. And maybe in the future I'll give it a 5, but I don't think I'm ready. Um, the first like act slash like even like the first like 45 to an hour of this movie kind of takes a long time now, and on rewatches at least for me it just moves very slowly, and like
Yeah.
it's a short movie, which I love. That I think it's one of its strengths too, but it almost feels like it's stretched to like an hour and a half in a way, like that they I don't even know if they had enough to get it there, but like I don't know. Like, because then when you get to
No.
the third final act where all shit goes wild, and you're like,
yeah,
this is the best movie I've ever seen. You kind of
Yeah.
forget that first half, you know what I'm saying? And then like
yeah.
No,
you'd
that's a
love
great
it.
point
That's a
actually.
good point. Yeah, because I
Because
haven't watched it in a while, and I couldn't tell you everything that happens in the first half or whatever. So
I, every time I watch it, I'm waiting to get to when they finally get to the cabin. You know, you're always just
Oh
waiting
yeah,
from and like even when you are in that first like quarter of the movie or the first act, you want to spend more time with the dudes in the lab. You know, you
yes.
don't
yeah,
really care about the characters that are going to the cabin until they get there. So you're just like hanging out with these dudes who are just having the time of their life,
Just
obviously, in
having
this
their like
movie.
work job,
Yeah.
just like
yeah, every
having
day,
like
whatever.
office like shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
And the whole time
it's
you're
great.
wondering what the fuck's going on here. But yeah. So yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
It's tough though, because like those moments underground are so amazing too, that like it almost buoys it, but like
Right.
I don't know, it just moves so slow. And also, I think the problem is like the fun of it is when you realize what's going on,
Right.
and but then you're ahead of the people that are above ground. You're like, as an audience member, you know more than them,
yeah,
so like their actions are like taking too long
Yeah.
because you're just like waiting for it to all connect. I don't know. It's tough but then that's like the fun of it too, because then when Chris Hemsworth is riding his bike off the cliff,
Yeah. Fuck
you
yeah.
know what's
yeah,
coming. So it's just like toying with you on a lot of levels, and that's what's
It,
great about it too. You know.
And when you first watch it, you're like, they won't kill Chris Hemsworth. He'll stop or
Right.
something will
Like,
happen, but he
He'll
just
make it.
fucking gets
Yeah.
cooked. So
it's a great moment too. It's like
Yeah.
just it's wild. And I love the like Scooby Doo-ness of the group too. Like they obviously have their like
yeah.
designated horror like identities or whatever. But this gang feels like a little more goofy, and like Drew Goddard and I think Joss Whedon wrote this. Like those are two dudes that love pop culture and just like I think they're having more fun with it. And I think that's why they took Marty's character as far as they did, because they identified with like that outsider
Right.
perspective. Because you could take the jock to the end, but they didn't, you know. So it's
Right.
like there's a much more fun, self-aware person at the helm, and that's why like Marty's character is so great, because it's like reflected through him, kind of, you know.
It's so much more relatable to be with that character
Yes.
who's like kind of the outsider of the group. Because I mean, who
The
can't
guy who
relate with
hears the voice and immediately is like, "What the fuck?" Like, you know, like that's great.
He's just in the background, like when the trap door opens up, and he's like, I don't know if we should go down
The
there.
wind?
You know?
Yeah.
The fucking wind. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Just great moments, great characters. Like even the intros with like them just partying and stuff. Maybe that's the stuff that goes too long, but like even like the Truth or Dare scene, which he makes out with the wolf, it's just like such weird tone setting and like character setting, and you're just like, what the
Yeah. It feels like it belongs just because you are trying to hit those stereotypes of like Friday the 13th, where for some reason, in one of the latest Friday the 13th, one of the remakes, there's just a scene where a woman's skiing without a top, you know? But it gets you to the point where they kill her underneath the dock and pull her up on the head, and you get one more tit shot. So that was all that whole thing was for.
Oh yeah.
Similar with this woman, got her out to do the whole sex shit, and that's where she dies. So I don't know. It's just that's the self-aware part of that, to
Yeah,
where
for sure.
them partying and doing all that weird shit kind of made sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Following the tropes, but like following the fun as well.
Yeah.
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 The
No, but I
guy
do get
just
that
wants to
first
see a
part.
merman.
Yeah.
Never gonna see a
Yeah.
merman.
The first part I do get. It's just it's hard to be like, is that the only thing holding it back when you have to kind of have that to get them there? You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You got to go through the basement. I think like maybe my thing was like just speed it up. Like literally, I don't know, but then you're like don't have an hour and a half, so it's like I don't know. I think they had to like let it breathe in the moments, but
like
a little
you
too
kind
much.
of like, why are they spending so much time with this, talking to this girl about her past relationship with the teacher? But then in the end, you find out like, oh, she's not actually a virgin. So it's just kind of
Right.
like, yeah, she just is an innocent individual that they took for a virgin, right? So
Yeah,
it's
they like
just that
changed them.
pays off. So it's kind of hard to be like, oh, take that out when you have that given context, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine it'd be hard to cut if you're like trying to play to the tropes, you're trying to get through some character. You know, you got to care about the characters a little bit. Yeah, trying to make.
And I
that
mean,
130.
it sets up the scene too, because you have her, the innocent girl, you have the party girl, the jock, the nerdy guy who is also attractive, and then you have the outsider pothead guy. So it's just those are your stamps. Now send them to the cabin.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Al, what do you think, Alex? Are you gonna bump it up, or what's the mindset?
I think this is another thing I've been having trouble with. It's like, do I have too few movies at 5 or at 4? Yeah, 5 stars, just because of little nitpicky things like that. When I should put them up because I enjoy the hell out of them, especially going back and rewatching all the Mission Impossible movies, watching Mission Impossible Fallout. I'm like, this is obviously one of my favorite movies of all time. Why don't I have it like on my top 10 list, you know? So it made me rethink my whole like top 10 movies of all time.
Yeah.
Do I rate them and rank them just more leaning in my enjoyment factor? Or is it like the craft? Like you have a movie like Adaptation in my top 10, which is one of my favorite like scripts that I've seen. But if I wanted to turn on a movie, I'd turn on Mission Impossible Fallout over that, you know?
Right.
So all that bullshit that I just said to say, I think I'm gonna leave it at 4.5 for now and let it cook.
Wow.
So
Wow, I didn't
I
expect
don't
that.
think it's
Okay.
a bad metric. If you can respect something because its craft is so good, and you're like, all right,
yeah,
this deserves it purely from like an artistic point of view, then
Mm-hmm.
5 stars. But it's like also a personal taste is
Oh,
in there.
it's super
So
personal for
yeah,
fives, right? Like
right, right,
it's gotta hit you. I
yeah.
think like the
I don't think
combination
that's
of
bad.
like true passion and like experience plus craft that I can't like deny like most of it's like filmmaking. It has to
yeah,
like mix somewhere for me. I can't just be like I love that movie. I'm gonna just
Right.
like
right.
make that 5. It has to
Yeah.
give me like a little bit of both. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like a prime example of more recent movie. It came out this year. I was going to recommend it to you guys. It doesn't do anything special story wise, but it is quite literally besides the raid. It's the best like hand to hand choreographed fighting I've ever seen in a movie. And it's like it looks the title and the cover of the movie looks like a Hallmark movie mixed with a Steven Seagal movie.
Mm.
So going into it, my
Straight to
expectations were
DVD.
fucking low. But watching it, I was like, this is fucking awesome. And it's one of my favorite movies that I watched this year that come out this year. So it's like I didn't put it at 5 stars. I put it at 4 because it doesn't do anything special. Like the villains are kind of just so, kind of
Mm.
like the cliche fallback on villains that everyone can hate.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it was just a vehicle in itself to get to the martial arts scenes, which were the fucking best parts of the movie, you know?
Right.
But even the melodrama in there, I appreciated because it wasn't over the top melodrama. It didn't like suffocate you with it. I don't know. So it's hard to
Was
rate movies because I enjoy the fuck out of a lot of them, but they aren't
right.
5 star movies, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
And with this
Yeah.
one in particular, I just have so many like I'm a huge fan of horror and I feel like I relate more with like I love a good camp horror. Like that corner in its own is its own like category for me. I enjoy the hell out of it. Like all of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead, Drag Me to Hell, I love that. But then there's like the special horror movies where you have like the Midsummers, the Hereditaries, the
Right.
Mhm.
X is kind of wiggling between the two of those. I would say it's probably more in the camp, but like Pearl, I would say is leans more into like traditional tries to, where it's got like the trauma and things like that, where it's trying to relate to people and be more accessible in that aspect of things instead of like silly over the top. But
Too serious horror. What was the name of
yeah,
that movie though? Then that you were
it's called
thinking
Life After Fighting.
Life After
Hmm.
Fighting. Okay.
It sounds like a
I,
straight to DVD fucking.
It
it's
kind of does.
honestly, I recommended it to my mom because she loves Hallmark movies and she will surf all of her streaming platforms and land on the most straight to DVD ass movie ever and just
Mm.
turn it on and watch it. So I recommended it to her and she called me up. She's like, I can't believe you recommended this to me because looking at it, this is my kind of movie. I'm like, I know, that's why I recommended it to you, but
Mom, I
I'm
know
telling
you.
you, it's top
Yeah.
Okay.
notch.
Nice.
On your
So,
I should know. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
but yeah,
Well, I mean, Cabin in the Woods, it's a very special movie. Like it builds on the
Right.
it
stuff, but
is.
it is like there's nothing like it, too. So it's
Right.
like,
It's hard
True.
because when I did watch it the first time and the ending happened, I was like, this is fucking incredible what happened here. Like they
yeah,
didn't a normal person would have been like, we probably shouldn't do this, but nope.
hmm,
Drew Goddard and the gang were like, no, we're going all the way with it, you know?
yeah,
So I
definitely.
really enjoyed that part of it because that was like the first time with the camp horror where they just like full send, you know,
Right.
that I saw. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember like when that movie came out too. Like that was a cultural thing in high school. I remember people
yeah.
talking about Cabin in the Woods. Oh yeah, man. Like yeah, everybody loved. It was just like I think because it was such its own thing, no one had really
Yeah.
seen much horror kind of like it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How self aware it was. They're just like, holy shit, you gotta watch.
It was like when Barbarian came out, you know, it's very similar where everyone was like,
Yeah.
this fucking movie rocks. Horror is so back, you know,
Right.
because
Right.
it's one of the ones that they full sent, you
It
know,
can be
and they
horror and
just,
it can be
yeah,
enjoyable and fun and yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
now we're talking me into it. I don't
That's
know.
that's just tough, man. It's tough.
It is tough.
Shit.
You're on the precipice of
Yeah.
greatness.
I had it at 4 and I was surprised. I'm gonna definitely bump 4.5. And
Yeah.
I think if we do this more often, like 4.5, like we're doing right now, it's not permanent. You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah,
Right.
if the enjoyment comes, if the appreciation comes on a watch through again, it'll bump up. So
yeah, it's a couple watches away.
Yeah, I need a couple more watches on that one.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel about your movie, your pick, Matt. I was like, man, if I
Yeah.
watch this a couple more times, I think I might. Yeah, 'cause I remember
Yeah.
watching it for the first time. And I was like, this is good.
Well, should we move over to mine then?
Let's do
We're
it.
moving.
Yeah.
This one, Palm Springs was my pick. It's just such an enjoyable movie to watch, and to me, like, if looking back, because I've already watched this movie maybe 5 to more times, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a movie that you toss on and just love. Looking back on like the first rewatch too, it was pretty instantaneous, like the feeling and like the level of just like experience you have with Palm Springs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so like just diving into like what I appreciate about it, watching this time and just like the movie in general, like obviously it has like the premise like at its center, but everything they're talking about and everything they're like dealing with is like allegorical or just like a direct parallel to like everyday living and how people experience life and depression and like the past and and like dealing with their issues.
Relatable nihilism.
Super relatable.
For
There's so
sure,
much like truth in the movie if you just like look for it, honestly.
Yeah.
With the way with like what the characters are feeling and going through and how they talk to each other. Like I feel like these two characters are some of the most like relatable like comedic leads ever. Like I just like they're so easy, especially like Sandberg. Like this is his most restrained and most believable as a person.
Yeah.
And he's doing the most like wild like premise. It's just like crazy, like the mix and how it like perfectly like aligns. You know what I'm saying? And it's like every 10 minutes there's an iconic moment that you can like looking back you can like hear. Just like think about like, oh my god, shit. Oh my god, shit. Like the pacing in the comedy is just like amazing. It's perfectly timed, and like it hits you with moments later too. With like Connor O'Malley is so wild in this movie. If you know who that guy is, he has like a crazy YouTube personality that he's just doing like insane shit. As like his faux like real person or not or whatever, but like he's the guy who's like I don't feel safe anymore. I think we need to call the cops. I don't think we should stay here. It's just like he's so outside the movie but perfectly blends into the movie in a way. It's just like I don't know. If you haven't like seen it yet, I'm gonna give it 5 stars this time. I think it just like
pull the trigger.
I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it because like
I just remember also the part of Sandberg getting shot with the crossbow in the leg.
Dude. I mean the intro is fantastic. Where it's like sorry, go ahead.
No, I was on top of that. I was gonna say, in terms of like Groundhog Day premises, this is like premise.
I've heard it both ways.
this and Edge of Tomorrow are like the two that stick out as like movies that took that premise and like just elevated it and made it.
That was one of my runner-ups actually for 4.5 to 5.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that good that it could like take something that's kind of been done, but like just make it better, make the characters better, more relatable, make it more interesting. Like
that's the thing, I guess, with this type of movie. That's what really holds me back with this one was just the premise. Because that year alone, there was like 2 or 3 that came out. I know 2 that I watched. I forget what the other one was. It was like The Map to something or another. It was just a silly rom-com type one, but for teens. So I guess it was just I was a little worn down with the premise itself. Same with Edge of Tomorrow. Like I think Edge of Tomorrow is a little bit more successful with the premise. The characters aren't as relatable in Edge of Tomorrow, obviously, as they are to Palm Springs. It's just completely different kinds of stories. But as in terms of what's holding it back for me personally, because it's at 4.5 for me as well. But it's like it's that premise where it just feels kind of tired, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I have like only two notes that really are the things that I could like pinpoint that hold me back. Especially on this watch through, I was like, there's not really much, honestly, but it's these couple things. And one of them is the premise and how it's built upon a different idea, like a predecessor kind of. But I think I'm just like washing that away because this one transcends it very fast, almost immediately. Like and when I
Yeah.
watched Groundhog Day, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to watch that for a while. When I watch Palm
Yeah,
Springs, I'm like, I want to watch that again. Like,
right.
it's just so much better. It just perfects it for a modern time, for modern
Yeah.
people, and
Right.
yeah,
I guess
I
it's great.
remember. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
well, I was just gonna say the only other thing that I can think of that really holds me back with this one is just like a little personal nitpick. It's similar with like Snack Shack, what kind of held the ratings down for that one. It was like there's one character in particular that I just wanted to spend more time with and kind of get to know more. And like in Snack Shack, it was um the
The
kid who
friend.
was in the military. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great
Yeah.
character.
I wanted to like hang out with that guy and get to know him more. And yeah. So this one it was J.K. Simmons' character. So
Mm.
it's just like a personal selfishness where I'm like, maybe it's because I have problems in my own life with like adult males in my life where I want a role model like that. And I
I need
kind
a
of want to,
daddy.
I don't know,
I need a
and I want
roller.
to spend more time with them in the movies.
Yeah.
So that's just like a personal thing where I'm like, give me a little bit more, just give me something, you know?
I mean,
Don't
J.K.
just take
Simmons is
them from
just
me, God
an
damn it.
amazing actor too, so you just want to spend
Yeah,
time with
Right.
that guy on screen.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that's just my one of my selfish nitpicks of the movie. So
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean,
get that.
the Roy subplot is just amazing in its own right, though. Too, like
yeah,
It
like you said,
is.
Noah, the way the arrow fires in that first act, when you're just like, and then Kristen
It's kind of being
Milioti,
haunted.
she's what the fuck? Like that never fails to make me laugh every watch through. Like that delivery, like there's a lot of moments that just I laugh every time, and it's
Yeah.
just like perfectly like
I
timed
love
for the audience
going.
too.
Oh yeah, I think like you said, their duo, their chemistry too, comedically and romantic. Like it's
Yeah.
romantic, so both of it, it's just on point. And I love when they go back into like Sandberg's character, just trying to. He's basically just talking everyone up at the wedding, constantly because he's been there for so long,
Mhm.
and just to see it play out with Roy is. It's just
Like their
fucking
first night,
hilarious.
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
or?
Yeah. They're like doing
Yeah.
cocaine outside the wedding.
He
and shit
just
like
goes and
that.
grabs the bag out of the dude's like pocket as he's giving a speech.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it.
yeah.
He's out in the desert. He's like, this is the best
Yeah.
night of my life.
Yeah, and then spirals, but yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's good, man. It's good. I think Edge of Tomorrow took this premise and just like fucking, pushed it to the far as it could with the action sequence and like all the
Yeah.
drama, and this one does it with, um, just like like relatability.
Yeah. Like emotion and characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one pushes the premise, like you said, like to its fullest. Like they're trying to like figure out the premise. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they try to do it in this one, but they really just save it for the third act and just like quickly
exactly.
like
Yeah,
Like, oh, we got it, figured it out.
Mhm. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing that
Both good.
the other thing that has held me back in the past is that third act. The characters, like it checks out for me, like the way that like Sandberg's character starts like yearning for her, and then like she
Mhm.
comes back and he just wants to stay there. He doesn't want to like go with her out. He wants to just like stay comfy because he's been there for like hundreds or whatever, tens of years or whatever. But like and then when they get out to the desert and they're about to like actually go and push the button or whatever, there's like this like speech where they're talking in like he gets one sentence and it's like you got a comma, like ampersand, like and to me that always felt like a screenwriter scene.
Yeah.
Where it's like I'm gonna like write and I'm writing as I'm writing it and I'm writing about writing and like with like exclamation points and like an emphatic period, like I don't know. I kind of like
This
just
kind of takes you out of the whole relatable experience.
a bit, but
Yeah,
the characters are fun enough and they're witty enough in other moments of the movie that they're just like normal enough that Sandberg would like do that at that time, just cause. So like I don't know. I kind of was like trying to, I guess, write it away to make it better than
Justify
I
it.
thought. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But it doesn't like it didn't hurt me as much on this watch through. Everything just kind of like elevated. Maybe I was ready for it, because I wanted to think about it that way. But it's just fantastic. The soundtrack's great. The last moments where they're like in the like kissing together, and she finally says like "I love you too" to him, and they're like they finally are back, pushing like blowing themselves up, and then they're like just chilling in the pool, and you realize that the people come back the next day.
Yeah,
just a great movie. And this is one when it came out, I recommended it to many people, and those people instantly recommended it to other people. And this movie's like wildfire, where it just like can like move through like people, and like they love it, and they enjoyed it, and they want to watch it again. At least I do. So
That's funny because that's exactly how Edge of Tomorrow was like when I saw it. I remember just going to the theaters on a whim with one of my friends to watch it, and I got out of it, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And then it just kind of spread through my groups of people where I was like, "Watch this movie," and then all the way up to college, I introduced it to some people there, and then they just kind of introduced it to their family when I went to their house. They're like, "Hey, we should watch this, guys." So yeah,
same. I've
That's a good
recommended that one
sign.
too.
Yeah.
I think that's the mark of a good movie. If word of mouth is
Yeah.
enough, and
Yeah.
then
It's got
experiencing it
something.
pushes that. Yeah, it's got something.
But
It's got some of the magic attached.
A little
What about you guys? You gonna leave it at what you got? Did I convince you, or what you gonna do?
It
You-
might
you
take a
convinced-
rewatch for me, but
yeah,
Give it a rewatch. Yeah, let me
it
know what
convinced me to
you're feeling.
rewatch it and try to write off the little personal nitpick I have and just the premise. I think I just need to set the premise aside and just like be there for the hang rather than thinking like, oh,
For sure.
like you said, the third act is where it gets kind of like not necessarily in the weeds, but you're just kind of like, okay, now we got to finish this whole
Right.
premise off.
Mhm.
There's got to be an end point to this in some way, or else it's not going to be a satisfying movie. So,
yeah,
yeah,
that's fair.
Also, just think too, they give you that little Roy after credits scene, so like the movie
Yeah, it's
ends
true.
with Roy, and it's just like a great little tag,
You're tempting me,
Yeah.
tantalizing.
And I love the dinosaur stuff too. Like some people are like, "What the weird or whatever," but like when they're like tripping on mushrooms and they have a great heartfelt conversation, and then dinosaurs just walk by and they're just like, "Don't give a shit." It's like, hell yeah, dude! Like, just live life and just fucking go with it, man.
That's the thing about like some movies. Sometimes you just gotta let them send it. Let them have fun making a movie for God's sake.
Yeah, right.
True. I think Sandberg's energy brings that, man. Like
Yeah.
he's just always. He just seems like he's always having fun. Like I was
Yeah.
actually started rewatching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I was like, I mean,
It's on Netflix now.
He goes nuts in that one. Yeah, he's great.
yeah. I mean, the supporting cast is great, but it's just like, holy shit! Like this guy can kind of. He's just multi-talented. He's just
he's hilarious.
I just rewatched the pilot episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine last week. Yeah. I just the best cold opens of any sitcom is Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yeah.
I just see the one all the time get like reposted where it's like they're in the lineup room and he's like having him sing the Backstreet Boys or whatever. And then what's the like at the end? He's like, they say something about like the murder or whatever that they're there for, and he's just like, "Oh, I totally forgot about that." Like, it's just fantastic. Yeah, you're right.
Shit.
All right, well, give it a rewatch. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna give it 5. It's made it to my ranks, my upper ranks, and I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
All right, Noah, what you got? Let's wrap it up with.
I picked Nightcrawler. Partly because it's a movie I've owned. I bought it like maybe a year after it came out because I loved it after watching it the first time. And I know it got like snubbed. It didn't get any Oscar nods, and I'm personally a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal as well. And I thought this was a performance of his that was like, holy fuck, this guy's going. This guy's doing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And just like the imprint it left on me, I was like, holy, like the ethics, it made me think being like, oh, the ethics of the world and media and like all that shit.
This was before journalism died.
Yeah.
Right. This is what killed it.
Killed journalism.
Yeah, he single-handedly murdered journalism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
created fake news. Yeah.
Right. No, this was a good pick. I've only watched this movie one time, so it was nice to rewatch it personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first time it was like, yeah, it was a pretty good movie. And the second time, this watch through, I was like, this is an amazing movie. Like,
Okay,
It is, yeah.
good, because I've watched it like maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's been a while, so I didn't know how it would hold up.
yeah,
It would still have that.
it's like around 2 hours or something like that, maybe less. But
Mhm.
like in the first time, it was like pretty slow moving, but this time it was just breathe. Like
Yeah,
I was on board for the journey for sure.
It snowballs. I feel like I remember
Yeah.
feeling the momentum in some of my watch throughs of like, oh, like he's spiraling. Lou Bloom is like he's in the rabbit hole.
He's
Like,
building this empire too. Like he's like single-handedly like building a business. You know what I'm saying? And you
Yeah,
get to
right.
watch it
Tunnel vision.
succeed in ways, but like it's fucked up. It's dark as shit. You know?
It's just this
Yeah.
baseball, man. He's like,
Yeah, he's a sleazy dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies where I recommend this to my mom, of course, because she's awesome when it comes to movies. Great inspiration for little old me. But like even the guys I roomed with in college, one of my roommates, this was one of his favorite movies. So like I was like, hell yeah, let's rewatch it, And then I had Sarah watch it with me, and even she liked it. It's just like something about it where it's like this is kind of an amazing movie. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal is obviously one of the big like draws of like the guy went full crazy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is always admirable. But like the story itself is so crazy, and you're along for the ride for some reason that you're like kind of rooting for the guy, and you're kind of
Yeah.
like, what's he
This
gonna do
fucked up
next to
way.
make this,
To make it work. Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's just
And
like,
he's
I
kind of like
remember.
down on his luck to begin with, so you're kind of like, okay, come on, let's see this guy succeed,
Right.
So
He's negotiating, and you want him to
Yeah.
win in every negotiation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
He is kind of just like this, the way he talks, he's like, this guy's
Yeah.
just a conniving motherfucker. Like,
and
Well,
he's
yeah,
like so
so-
proper about it too, though. Like
Yeah.
the way he like thinks. On this watch, sorry, before you get into more, like the thing I took away the most on the watch through is like this is like capitalism, or just like
Mhm.
how jobs work. And like, and
They
they're
make it
displaying
big,
it, and then
baby.
like, yeah, it's like really fucked up if you like dig into like what he's doing to the person below him, and like how he's manipulating it. It's like,
right.
it's kind of like a metaphor for like how people at the top treat people like below them, and like get them to do things. And it's like, it's
Definitely.
fucking dark. Like,
It's like like
Definitely.
the effect of capitalism full blown.
yeah.
It's like it convinces you that it's okay to fucking just like step on people to get up there. Like,
And tell them that they're not like negotiating in the right way, because you have to do it at the end of the year, and you can't tell me to do that because that's how business works, because I made it that way because I'm a fucking psycho. It's like,
Yeah.
that's what like really is like what at the core of it, kind of. But it's,
Yeah.
yeah. Then you got like,
you bullshit, and like they have to believe you because they're the boss,
yeah,
And it's
gotta
like
take it.
you just talk and talk and
Orientation.
talk, and it doesn't matter what you say, It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very relatable if you've experienced that, especially in the workplace where people just like sit and bullshit, and you're like, I'm pretty sure you didn't say anything for that last hour. You just said
Mhm.
random stuff and sounded smart,
Yeah. And just acted like you had authority, because
Yeah.
like we know at the beginning of this movie he has no authority. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah.
then he's like acting as if he's like this entrepreneurial like and he's like a startup guy, but like he's just now getting his footing, and he's acting like, especially to Riz Ahmed's character, like he's got this like boss title that isn't even real.
Yeah.
Like,
For
And as long as you, like-
in a diner, like
Right.
like,
As long as you hit those like hot topic words of that industry too, you're like you think you get people's attention,
mhm.
buzzwords.
So-
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, this guy knows this stuff. All right, he must know what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
Right? So
He cuts my check, so I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had it at 4.5, I think from jump, and then I watched it a couple more times, and I was like, damn, I just love this movie. I love what Jake Gyllenhaal's doing in it. Like, the message it's kind of sending. Plus, I remember the scene where he basically like, feeds Riz Ahmed's character to get shot. I remember like
Damn.
all the tension I was like, holy fuck, like there's no way he just did that. Like,
Yeah.
you know. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know
And
where I'm
at the
going with
end,
that.
he says to his like new crew that he just hired, he's like, I would never ask you to do something I wouldn't do. He's like lying straight up, but like he's such a good
Do you
liar
believe
though.
him?
Like,
I
no.
believe him.
That's at
No.
I
that
think he'd
point,
do it.
No,
right?
because he knew he would not have walked up to that car. He wouldn't have gone out of the car. That's why he sent Riz Ahmed the
Yeah.
first time. He's like, I'll
But
stay in the car. You
wouldn't-
go out. Because he knows
Like,
like his situation, or he knows his position in every situation, you know, and like,
I could see that. I just feel like that's him being like he would go that mile and like get somebody killed. I mean, he obviously wouldn't kill himself. He's too much of a narcissist, but
right.
I feel like him saying that is him saying I wouldn't like he's not afraid to ask them to get killed, you know? I don't know. That was just kind of like not him doing it physically, but like him having someone do it is like the vessel. I don't know.
I see.
From his point of view.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I could read it that
Yeah.
way too if I thought about it for sure. Yeah.
I didn't think. Yeah, I wouldn't. Shit.
That's cool. That's a cool like thought,
Yeah,
honestly.
I
It's
didn't
like
think about it like that. But,
it's I mean, that's great too. I mean, that's like he has two vans and they like split off at the end, and it's like, yeah, this like infection is like spreading now. And you know what I'm saying? Like this guy's like spreading his tentacles. Yeah.
yeah. So I don't
I'm
know.
a huge supporter of Jake Gyllenhaal. I feel like I don't know. I feel like he's not getting enough love. Like
He's really good.
he's kind of weird, you know, and some of the roles he
Yeah.
chooses
Oh, yeah.
is like interesting choices, but I don't know.
Donnie Darko, man.
He's never not good. I
Right.
don't think. You know?
No, he's pretty good in every role, honestly. This one though, you're right. He's like so outside of anything I think I've seen him do before, and he feels
Yeah.
like a real different person, you know, like in the
Yeah.
way he acts and talks, and
Kind of like this gutter rat kind of guy that might actually be
Yeah.
real.
yeah, yeah. Clearly, like no friends and shit, you know, like this guy, and
Yeah,
like
loner.
yeah, he's got this weird worldview that only he understands, and
Yeah. Yep.
it's crazy. Well, I had it at 4 stars. You know, just because on my first watch it didn't like lift anything for me, but this one it did. So I'm gonna give it 4.5. And
makes me happy.
I think like compared to like Cabin in the Woods, at least this one, I think I see it in my future rising faster potentially than that
Yeah.
1 to 5. But I really liked it.
It's because it has that prestige touch that Cabin in the Woods is missing, I think. You know,
Right.
it has that like performance, or it has those like poignant moments where you can like think like the morality of it all, you know, and the
Yeah.
ethics of it all. That
Yeah.
kind of makes you, I don't know,
Yeah.
rather
Maybe.
than just
I mean-
like this was fun, you know.
Right.
It's
tough
more
for a
like this
movie,
made me think.
like into the Cabin in the Woods. It's tough for a movie for like that. As much as I would love to see an Oscar or an award ceremony for movies like that, it's just you know. But
Yeah,
I was
it's not
bummed
gonna
that
happen.
yeah. I mean, if there was like a separate horror thing, that'd be awesome.
Right.
I mean,
Genre Oscars.
right? Add stunts in there. Come on, like start.
I think they're
Open it
talking
up.
about adding stunts to the Oscars, but
Yeah,
Heard
I
about
need
that,
to
yeah.
genre Oscar though. That'd be kind of cool. But I guess like, what would you
Yeah,
classify as
so.
genre or something?
just like
Or
the
multi-genre,
best.
Yeah.
I would just pick each genre, and then for the little categories, you know, you have the subgenres or the micro genres,
Yeah.
and then you just pick the best for each. I don't know.
Each one. Make it a
Yeah.
democracy. Maybe the people vote. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that'll be cool. But yeah, this one, when I found out it didn't get Oscar nods, I was like, for real? Like, come on.
Especially acting nod, you know, for Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Something,
yeah.
man.
At the very least, yeah.
It's a bit unfortunate. I think the director's name is Tony Gilroy, but I hope I'm not just saying that somebody else. But he hasn't really leveled up to what he did with Nightcrawler, and from what I can tell, he like I don't know if I haven't seen the other ones, but it's like Roman J. Esquire with Denzel. I think it's Denzel, and then he made
Yeah, it's
Velvet
Denzel.
Buzzsaw with I think Gyllenhaal's in that, but it's like
Okay.
about like the paintings or whatever the fuck
Yeah,
Yeah.
kill people.
come to life or whatever. Yeah. That one was weird. I watched that one. That one's
Yeah.
was a bit weird, too weird
Hmm.
for my taste. But, yeah, I was like, this is out there. But
I think Nightcrawler's his best work so far. So
nice. Yeah.
seems.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's still at 4.5 for me, but Yeah, it's definitely like I get it. I get why it's like, yeah.
Cool. I mean, I think I decided before even. I was like, you know what, this is a 5-star movie. I was
Yeah.
gonna give it to it eventually.
Yeah.
Might as well give it now. So I probably
You're
give it
gonna
5 stars.
You're doing it. You got to feel it
Yeah.
with your chest, though. You can't be like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta do
Yeah.
it.
Don't just
You gotta
shrug it
do
off. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it 5 stars.
There we go.
It deserves it. It was like one of the movies I remembered watching and be like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking
Yeah.
So yeah,
Cool.
it deserves it.
Mm.
Here, before we get off the 5 or the 4.5 stars, here's a few of my honorable mentions. Actually, the
Okay.
only ones out of my 4.5 ratings that I thought would have a shot. Which Gone Girl was like, that was too easy, so that's why I didn't pick that one because I feel like I would have just been like, I don't know why. I have no complaints. This is a 5-star movie. Which, thinking about it now, it probably should just be 5 stars. I mean, fuck it.
That might be the easiest one. Yeah.
The Departed is like one of my
Okay.
most rewatched movies, and I think that in itself makes it, okay.
That has
Edge of
pedigree.
Tomorrow, The Gentleman for me, that's kind of like a tough one just because I love that movie. It was so fun when I saw it in theaters like 3 times. Wind River, I'm not sure why I don't have that at 5 because it has such an emotional response for me.
Yeah.
Risky Business, that
Hmm.
was
I haven't seen that one.
yeah, 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 life-changing movie right there. The Wolf of Wall
Nice.
Street.
That's a
And,
tough one.
Yeah.
That's potential for sure.
Children of Men and 21 Jump Street.
Ooh, Children, man, that one was a 5 banger for me. And 21 Jump
Yeah.
Street, I think I recently bumped that bad boy up too.
21 Jump Street might be one of the best recent like modern day comedies. I don't know. It's just so smart. It's such a well
That
written
was
comedy movie.
another
Yeah.
cultural thing. I remember.
Definitely.
man.
21. Oh yeah.
So many quotes. Everyone was talking about it in the halls of her
Yeah.
church.
Yeah. Definitely. Ja feel.
Jaffe.
I definitely feel.
Oh,
I think the two that I just like looked at that I was like, those are the two I think I would. I'm questioning, or I'm pretty comfortable with asking the question, is Kingsman the first one, Secret
Yeah.
Service,
yeah.
and then the other one I was looking at is Big Fish.
Okay, never seen that one.
Do I have that?
Ooh, Tim Burton. I'd say Tim Burton's best. So
I would agree. Yeah.
It's a 4.5 for me. Both of them are 4.5, obviously. So
Big Fish is a 5-star for me.
ooh, okay,
It's good.
nice. Yeah, it is very.
I
it's great.
just rewatched Kingsman actually, and it was funny because I rewatched it with my mom. And she was like, "Wow, I don't remember this being this good." I was like, "It's fucking,
Yeah, it's
kinda
great.
rules."
Yeah, that shit's that's amazing. That's tough. Yeah. If we do it again, this is pretty good. It was a good conversation. So
Yeah.
maybe one of those for me.
See what Joe's 4.5s
Yeah.
are. Dude.
Yeah.
He stacks up.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. Next week, we'll be doing Dazed and Confused. Maybe a double feature. I guess we'll see. But Dazed and Confused is, I don't know. Might just want to do one episode just because it's fucking amazing. But
Give it to
Kind of a legendary movie.
yeah, we'll see. And then, I don't know. Maybe we'll do our studio thing, or maybe something else.
Sure.
Tune in, find out.